Now, he's the first member of the president's inner circle to get a significant prison term in connection with special counsel Robert Mueller's investigation. While in court, Cohen told the judge he felt he had to cover up President Trump's, quote, dirty deeds. In August, Cohen pleaded guilty to multiple criminal counts, including 2 campaign finance violations tied to payments made to women during the 2016 campaign. Last month, Cohen pleaded guilty to lying to Congress about how long discussions about a Trump Tower in Moscow had gone on during the 2016 campaign.
So here to talk a little bit more on Michael Cohen's sentence and what it means for the special counsel investigation going forward is Attorney Vikas Bajaj, who's our constitutional expert. Nice to have you here, Vic.
Good morning. Thank you.
Thanks so let's take a look at this, and everyone is saying that this is putting a dark cloud over the Trump White House. This would happen with Cohen. How do you see it?
Well, it does put a dark cloud over the White House only because of the fact that Michael Cohen was related to, in a business professional context, with Donald Trump, now President Trump. But that's really the extent of it. You know, yesterday I took the time to actually read the filing by the Southern District of California, of New York's federal filing, their sentencing memorandum, which is a document that's filed with the court under seal, usually in private, and says this is what we, the government, feel the defendant should face. So I had a chance to read that. And in that, maybe 8% of the language and the content was in regards to this supposed campaign contribution in order to silence those who may have hurt President Trump's campaign chances and chances for the presidency. But the bulk of the case brought by the federal government was specifically about longstanding fraud and misrepresentation that former Attorney Cohen had been conducting. In other words, it lays out methodically that this investigation, in other words, the search warrant at his office, well, the reaction was, this has to do with President Trump. Well, no, it didn't. The arrest warrant and the search warrant was specifically tailored to the misrepresentation that Michael Cohen made to banking industries and agencies in order to gain multi-million-dollar loans. Now, as someone who has handled many of these cases in the past, these are paper cases. These are cases that can be proven or disproven simply by bank records and records provided by percipient witnesses. So Mr. Cohen was in a very bad position. He had lost complete leverage. And so when we see some of the experts make statements such as, well, the count was weak about the campaign finance and illegal contributions. Yes, it is weak. Standing alone, it's weak. But taking in conjunction with all of the other dirty pots that he was sticking his hands in, it's something that he really had to give to the government. So, to answer your very astute question, Carlos, I feel that it says very little about the quality and character of the White House. I think it says a lot about the long-standing quality and character of Michael Cohen. And
now a lot of people are asking specifically what was legal and illegal, and how could this impact the president. The president has said that they would have been private transactions that were not illegal. Is that the case? What's legal and what's not?
I believe they are not illegal. Now, there are some pundits who believe that you can have a dual purpose. You can pay a certain amount of money during a hotly contested campaign, which could be a campaign contribution, but it can have a dual purpose of increasing the candidate's chances of victory during the election. If that dual purpose is proven beyond a reasonable doubt, then you can show that it was a campaign contribution specifically geared towards helping a candidate win or lose an election. In this particular case, there will be a significant weighing of the ideals and of the goals of this money that Michael Cohen paid. I will say that I am very surprised by the actions of Michael Cohen as an attorney who represents someone. He has a client, and the client's a president, but he is a client. And I have just been continually surprised with the way he's conducted himself. If you look at the paper trail and how he tried to secrete this payment to settle a civil lawsuit with Stormy Daniels and the other lady there as well who raised similar allegations. Well, it was done wrong, and it was there with the appearance of impropriety when in fact it could have been done above board with any sort of an allegation of impropriety. I see nothing wrong with the payment he made on behalf of his civil client to settle a civil dispute.
Well, and it turns out that Stormy Daniels now owes legal fees to the president, somewhere in the neighborhood of $300,000. So that goes to the conduct of Michael Cohen. The other thing that's interesting to me is that he is now making himself out to be the victim, and let's talk about his conduct as an attorney.
Yes.
It didn't start with President Trump. Michael Cohen's background, way back in the casino days and the taxi medallion things that he was involved with in the past. This attorney has been involved in a lot of different interesting, I guess you could call it high risk cases in New York.
You can call it high risk. I'll call it crimes. It's criminal. What he did was criminal, and this is a very specific harm that the legal community and the community in general suffers when the trust between an individual who is facing a very stressful time, whether it be financial or a risk of losing their liberty, when we start to dissect that relationship, and we have attorneys like Michael Cohen who are so quick to divulge private information that does, in fact, hurt their clients, it degrades the entire system and the sanctitude of the attorney-client privilege. And as an attorney, as a practicing attorney who many times walks into a federal courthouse and a federal U.S. attorney's office with agents, with U.S. attorneys, and many times the way Michael Cohen and his lawyer did, I will tell you that it is eye-opening. It is a scary thought that people may believe this is normal. This is abnormal, and this is something the court very astutely sentenced him very sternly for. He committed criminal acts. Now, could he have said, I'm not pleading guilty to the campaign contribution? That would be a good question. Well, no, he has no leverage. He had to take what the Southern District of New York gave him, and that's the bottom line. Without the leverage, you cannot effectively negotiate, especially with the federal government. But Carlos, you raise a very interesting issue. Michael Cohen has proven, I believe, time and time again, politics aside, as a lawyer representing a client, and he is now a defendant. He is a client himself. He has demonstrated an inability to tell the truth. If our viewers take the time to read the published sentencing memorandum that the government filed outlining Mr. Cohen's acts of dishonesty, it is eye-opening. These are not ministerial mistakes. These are not bookkeeping mistakes. These are intentional mistakes to defraud banks of over $20 million in one instance. So the pot had been soiled by Mr. Cohen long before President Trump became President Trump.
Well, and he has a lot of money, well over $1 million in restitution that he'll have to pay in addition to the 3 years in prison. Vic Bajaj, as always, appreciate your expertise in these legal matters. Definitely a muddy pot.
It's a quagmire, yeah.
It is, yes. Thank you so much.
All right,
Appreciate
thanks,
it, Vic.
Thank you.